said we in the building? Who said we in the building? We the morning masterpiece of architect with the children rapping Friday 30s like Jason without the killing. But we promote life, oh, it's all about the feeling. And we invoke life, yo, freedom life here. So you might see him on the block getting his pocket. Might be talking a cop giving the pocket. Occasionally wearing his vest when he's walking. See the turning head, whispering gossip. But he's locked in and he's zoned out while he's locked in our own house. Studies the mystics, the adepts, the magi, wisdom of the ancients, and all calcify our possible mission. Financial dominance, extract the substance with minds of darkness. Use the source, don't care what's up before. As we know about the old man knows God. Many before the Lord, souls God born. Placed in the devil's hand, rolled in the seven land. Two dogma rituals, equal spirituals. Brainwash subliminal, be thinking to a minimal. They're still criminal. In a world digital, so pitiful. Natural survival, so critical, it's visible. Can you see that life is wrong? Pass that song, for days of time of song. No need for cell phones, it's so far. It's nothing for alarm, chips is for harm. When grass is late, such a beautiful serenade. Women feeding me grapes, I'm feeding the enemy serenade. Weather this night, spell great. Great when you're a fake, giving life to speak. Speaking to who not here today. So the future in this land, you know, still be home like a visionary death. Sun walks desert, this far the shit I found God look back. Used to see his friends. Forget being a prince, I'm a G. Hungry grown man, no junkie, the life you don't know me. Don't make me captain to the homie. It's like a couple hundred years. Walk around town with a couple hundred years. Now release the peak of upstairs. The sun gon' shine for what's there. This young brother here just trying to get his third eye clear. Force don't the best in your mind, body, and nothing. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious, thinking, living, and dead and fat. Force don't the best in your mind, body, and nothing. Real life rap, spitting over tracks. Conscious, thinking, living, and dead and fat. So as the moon sets, the sun takes the place. Fools are blocked, fight, box, still fit. Real back, rap, who got patience. Fight, stain the corridors of level faces. Game changers, real faces, and no pretenders. I've been this, I know my vibe, who's the vibe, and I'm the blenders. Send the message to our veterans. So here's up and get it in. We on the birds, we on earth, subliminal being. Third eye seeing, cause I participate already. They wanna break me, just break me. Wonder where my name be, double O empty. That's the way it's crazy. For a minute that you think you can take me for a fool like a man who is laughing and scared by the foreign dude. You suspected me, right from the room in the cartoons. I can say you suspected me. You better move for a heartbeat. Power things my heart, your resistance to target. Revealing all life and just be on the market. Then the sight of terror and heart, I knock it down for a soldier. Niggas who can lie in this exposure. I can be kept you and never getting closer. Figure down far around the fucking soldier. Little homie, I was seeking a fortune, tired of misfortune. I just wanted a fortune, everything that I never had, so I needed my fortune. Blowing like porcelain, hated better than porcelain. Getting broke, tired of being broke. Tired of fighting, I hope this is still as go. This is with the flow, right as with the rope. Greatest to leave the weapon, we won nature with no. When I speak, I will go. Walk in the room with my own feeling like heavy smoke. Feel like when they let me go. Under my nose, feeling this heavy smoke. The dirty couch, the chicken, boy, yeah, the choke. The cost of living, how you profit, the price of prison. These little girls study by just a big pussy. These little niggas study niggas just to fill positions. It's like the thing you never ended with the intermission. I want to see the world with a one man. A couple ones like me, let me one plan. I want to see the world with a one man. A couple ones like me, one plan. Read up, we pay every day. Uplifting because we all pay. We enforce the law and we obey. Core fathers from before until today. Reading my Quran and my Torah. Universal laws in more read 4 chapters, receiving 4 ways. Great divine love rules our first. Before I circle blocks, man, I circle seven first. You bust the image, but you ran hurt. Declare thirsty, disrespecting us. Love, but it's all in God's plan. Today's mathematics don't judge man. Unity of life and embodiment of truth. I'm responsible for every deed because I see the proof. Noble true. Hey, you have to draw it out for you. Cause nationality is not a color I can use. Jerry the Bruce. Standing on my prayer, even without shoes. On the highest authority, spirit of blue. Marcus Garvey, whirlwind times two. The world's in the wind when the trumpet blew. Stand up, go into your bathroom. You gotta be fluid and feel it, cut the light on it, and go good hard look at yourself. You are the worst government. You know, and it took me a long time to understand that concept. I don't know an ambassador. If I can govern myself, if I can govern my household, that's what I should be doing. Why should I walk out of my door and leave everything that I know about myself in the house to go out and adopt something that I have no knowledge of? So we need to stop asking that question. I ask myself this question. If not you, then Destined wisdom, my friends, intelligent creatures, guardians of sacred knowledge, Olmec features, secrets of the afterlife, manifest the present day, dirty mortal scoundrels lose their heads in a pleasant way, deceit and deception, negative past thoughts, keep the awareness on point, spirit messages never off, inner realization, encounter the higher self, explain existence, explain my consistence, without a foe they never know, so fast most resistant, divinity, my twin flame, side chick and mistress, metaphysics, Kabbalistic, Almarock mystic, patriarch, statistic, make my thoughts sadistic, so indigenous, call me Americanistic, invoking the ancestors, Saracen cryptic, suns on rotation, flows eclectic, shatter all illusions, reveal the realistic, sitting in the dark, holding the light marvelous, recognize the artifice, skin so carbonous, hair so antenna, I feel them from Vienna, myriad of virtues, lessons, and reptilian henna, enlightenment seekers won't find it in mainstream, focus as a laser, stay balanced like a beam, not even a gymnast, whenever I flip this, as above, so below, get out when within this, don't think I'm a slave cause I speak in English, true I leave the water, watch your flame get extinguished, living in your higher, lower self is relinquished, reputation of master teachers, call it distinguished. Ooh, peace and love, Morris. Peace and love. I am your host. My name is Raheem. I left L along with my noble brethren, Cujo Adwo L. Peace, More. You there?
Islam, more peace.
Islam.
Peace.
Right. We tapped in. Yo, I know we've been on hiatus the past 2 months, but it feels great to be back, you know?
Straight
and oh my gosh, I was telling you earlier, man, we always get the best scheduling.
Yeah.
You know, even through delays and postponements, it's like we always right on time. And so I want to say, you know, there's a few announcements, but my gosh, it's so much to unpack tonight. Whereas
that's
we're sitting here,
yeah, that's why
always say it.
That's why we started early.
We always say Yeah, no, real talk. And this is what it's going to be moving forward. You know, we usually do 9 p.m., but from now on, you'll catch Sons of Allah at 7:30 p.m. We have one more scheduled Blog Talk Radio for next month. So you got this month, next month, and then we'll be strictly YouTube and or exploration of other platforms. But, you know, all things run its course, and we will no longer be on Blog Talk Radio after August. So starting in the fall or the autumn equinox, we will be making changes as well. However, bro, I gotta say, man, Like, I don't think it would be as potent as it is if we had chose any other day of the month to do this, right? Like, it's like we said it many times before, and it always proves itself to be true. That is something about the third Thursday, not doing it every Thursday, even if we chose to. But the fact that this run we've had on Blog Talk and simultaneously being streamed on Canaanland Moore's YouTube page, there was always something special about the date that it fell on. So the third Thursday of every month since we've been doing this, it has proven to be something significant. And, you know, it again has proven itself to be true, specifically to us and those Moors who already know what's up. The fact that we here again on the third Thursday of the month, and it happens to be Noble Drew Ali's transition date, or what people would call death anniversary. However, because he passed on, July 20th, 1929. However, we know that according to his lessons, there is no such thing as death. Energy doesn't die. It only is transformed or transferred. So, in one essence, we know that he lives on, and from what our body of work on a collaborative level shows is that, even we keeping it alive to the best of our ability.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, we don't see him as dead. The lessons are truly true and living. You know what I mean? However, this is a significant date, and not just off of Gregorian standards or European standards, but what these days and times mean to us, as a people, as Moors, being Moors, knowing self, knowing, these beacon lights that have provided us wisdom to survive in these days and times and not lose our minds. Even, they say the best things in life is free, but your mental health is serious. So for those lessons or those add-ons for us to be who we are and not be losing our minds in these days and times, because we already see what's happening and how it was prophesized. We got to give a big acknowledgement and supreme thanks to Noble Drew Ali. For those of you all who have been rocking with us on the Blog Talk Radio again, moving forward, you want to catch Ms. Raheem and Cujo on the Sons of Allah. We will be doing it. We got one more month on Blog Talk Radio, but moving forward, we will be doing it on YouTube. So thank you all for staying tuned with us through these past 9-10 years on the Blog Talk. But again, it's time for change. And it is what it is. We will be doing that. I think that's also a good thing because we have some great broadcast demonstrations or godstrations on the Blog Talk Radio. However, I feel as well like, it may be better to reach more people, even being on YouTube more so than not. And maybe that's the change that needs to happen. I believe it is. So we going with the flow, and it's a beautiful thing. I just can't stress enough how it always divinely aligns on this third Thursday, because if you even look at our body of records on Blog Talk, for the most part, majority of the part, we always kept up the essence of what Noble Drew Ali was teaching and talking about in the forefront or underlying in our message. And, it's just a beautiful thing to have a moment in time to give him his props and flowers and do something significant on, the day that he transitioned out of flesh. And have a session dedicated to him, like, we always do, but specifically at a time like this. You know, there is so many lessons, so many axioms that came from him, you know, that keep us sane today. I know I feel that way. Like, you know, if it wasn't for some of the lessons that Noble Drew Ali left us, you know, or exhibited in his time here on this earth in the flesh, some of us may have lost our minds literally by now. I really feel like these lessons are the reason why I didn't, even through a pandemic, even through seeing the world shut down for a moment, coming back up in the hands and in the favor of our people, as we already knew that would happen. We didn't know exactly when, but we knew it was, in fact, prophesized that something like that would happen. So I know there's a lot of aspects around the topic of his transitioning. We're going to get into some of that. However, we also got to give esteem, you know, veneration, and things of that nature to his life works as well. Cujo.
Peace more.
One of the major lessons that I have to, you know, give reverence and honor to for Noble Drew Ali is the fact that he taught about nationality. Out of many subjects, because we could say he passed, he died, these things, he covered this in his lessons too, you know, that there really is no such thing as death, you know, again, just highlighting that part. Among many other things, there really is no such thing as time. Time is an instrument we use. There never was a time when man was not. And the more we analyze these lessons, we find it to be true. And why is that? Because man created time. Time didn't create man. And so, yeah, there could never have been a time when man was not, because it's a concept that the mind manifested as an instrument on this planet for us to utilize, to be more organized. But, you know, the infinite is real. You know, things concerned with time, you know, they have a beginning and an end date, as it says in the lessons, chapter 1. But certain things like the 5 principles, you know, they don't change or pass away. These things are infinite. You know, I could say something to the nature of, you know, being born here in America and the sense of belonging that comes from knowing your nationality, the sense of belonging to the human family, and, you know, descendancy, and, you know, coming from a lineage where people contributed great things, not just to ourselves, but to humanity as a whole. How much that does for me, for how much it did for me, how much it does for others, opposed to this concept of we were some downtrodden people that didn't contribute anything except for being slaves and picking cotton. Like the history of Moors, which actually predates Noble Drew Ali, right? Like we have to give him his credit for sure, because he dedicated his life work. I mean, pre-social media, pre-YouTube, pre-internet, to making sure that this message resonated with people, our people, throughout the continent of North America, South America, Central America. And like he literally had to put the physical work in to do this. It wasn't as easy as uploading, editing, clicking a button to get this message out there. Like, man was boots on the ground. You know what I mean? And that type of work, we still have to, you know, give acknowledgement to. Hedges in the highways, for real. You know, one aspect of many. But the sense of belonging to a nation, to the human family, you know, is unmatched. As far as I'm concerned, there is no better story to read up on outside of the history of the Moors, because it contributed so much to humanity, even as we know it today. Like, this is the underlying theme, I mean, on so many levels. And we can see the transitioning through times. And what I mean, we could take something as simple as a pen that you sign your appellation with, that you sign your check with, that, you know, you make contracts with. And, you know, we could point all of this back to the contributions of Moors to civilization. It's sad in a sense because I know there's still a lot of misunderstanding about Moors. Like, when we say we're Moors, people think automatically religion, right? And there's nothing wrong with religion, but I think one of the most potent lessons that he left, or examples that he left, which allows us to get along with humanity, even from a religious perspective, was the fact that even when he established the Moorish Science Temple of America, his message was, you know, we honor all true and divine prophets, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad, Yeshua. In his day and time, he was saying, basically, I don't care what your religion is. We have a nationality.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And that's important. That's basically what he was saying. Whatever you believe in, come hear the truth about your nationality and your birthrights. To me, that's just so fly because it allows us to understand the concept and to get along with other members of society. You know what I mean? But the fact that he also was saying, you know, again, being born in America, North, South, or Central, and people look at us in these days and times like we're bugging when this is actually his message, right? When he said, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment, right? When you really read the 14th Amendment, he was saying that we are not, quote unquote, United States citizens, not RV Bay Publications, not Ms., not Cool Joe, not Taj, not anybody. That was his message. And if you really understand and break it down, and comprehend the 14th Amendment versus the 5th Amendment, you will see that what he was saying is actually factually true. If you look up the definition of person in the Henry Kimball Black's Law Dictionary and what that means in law, you will see that what he was saying about the 14th Amendment is actually right and exact. This is not some concept that was made up post his death. There were people on this planet who were claiming to be a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America that were his adversaries while he was alive. He's the founder of the movement, but had rivals in the so-called movements, in these so-called temples. You know what I mean? So it's like, we got to understand that that same energy that he had to face back then, we still see it today. People are acting as if they're right and exact in all these messages about freedom, well, not just freedom, but love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, are some far-fetched concepts if they don't conform to the colonial ideology of what these things are supposed to be from their colonial perspective. And I'm looking at it in these days and times like, well, look, if y'all want to be slaves, just say that. But don't say that these principles are not right and exact.
Right.
Don't say that we sitting here about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and somehow we're not following Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali didn't teach that. Like, in these days and times, that's what gets me vexed. I'm not going to sit here and, you know what I mean, stress myself to death over these misunderstandings of other people, right? But it's just crazy that there's so many contrary points of view when it's basic. It's basic. So don't talk to me about the 5 principles when you deep down inside want to be a colonial slave. Like, if that's what you want to be, just say that. But don't say that those of us who taking it literally are somehow not following the lessons or the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Because even when he did say, make those members better citizens, right? you got to remember there's a big difference between American citizenship and United States citizenship. And if it wasn't, he would not have had said there is no need for the application of the 14th Amendment. He said that. You don't have to apply the 14th Amendment. We didn't make that up. So the lessons are so profound on so many levels, on the civic level. Yeah, people want to peacefully get along and find a middle ground, and that's okay. But don't say that, you know what I mean? We're somehow tripping because we recognize the divine warning from the prophet to the nations, plural, not just to us. That was to everybody. That was to the nations, plural, a divine warning. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I don't know. There's so many levels that I feel as though I have to give thanks on, because in some of these situations, I literally, if it wasn't for these teachings, I don't want to say lessons, add-ons, but teachings, you know what I mean? Like, I probably would have lost my mind already, bro.
Yeah.
Like, this, real talk. I got like a million reasons I probably would have lost my mind if it wasn't for these teachings, bro. And so, you know, I forever give veneration for that. You know, people say whatever they want about what he did, didn't do, what his birth name was, whether it was Noble Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, or Timothy Drew, or, you know what I mean? I acknowledge him in his proper person, either Noble Drew Ali or El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, right? Because it's an attestation to his growth on this planet. Even if he was born so-called Timothy Drew or whatever, all right, so he grew from the day he was born. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so to see those markings of those degrees and the unfoldment of him as a prophet, you know what I mean? You have to respect that. And so when I see different movies talking about, oh, you know, he was Timothy and all of this, like, I see they don't really get it. You know what I'm saying? They don't really get it. And whatever their portion of understanding is, maybe they're meant to be who they are. You know what I mean? But I'm going to acknowledge him for what we acknowledge him as. And, you know, the I am, you know what I mean? And so, Noble, Drew Ali, you know what I mean? El Haj Sharif Abdul Ali, Sheikh for sure, Mavis Haj, all of that. You know, his life works, whatever trials and tribulations he had to face while he was here, false accusations, because as we sitting here on the so-called death anniversary, you got to look at it and say, well, damn, you know, he passed not too long after he was released from the jail, but that was surrounding a so-called murder accusation, even though he was not charged. You know, these types of things were surrounding it. And to this day, there's so many different stories where it's like, all right, they say he passed from tuberculosis. There's questions around that. That's not widely accepted by everyone. Like, we don't all believe that that's how he passed. So, on the other hand, you know, was it a retaliation hit for this so-called murder thing that was going on? What you feel about that, More? What you feel like is the biggest highlight in these days and times of Noble Drew Ali and the misunderstandings surrounding his life works and his transition out of flesh? What would you highlight about that from your perspective and your facts and your knowledge and your wisdom? What would you say about that?
Well, looking at it over the years, because it's almost like every year that might change. You know, the more you study Noble Drew Ali, the more you realize, like you're saying, all these different all these different aspects that he presented that we should be highly considering. But along the lines with what you were saying, the nationality, I think the fact that we're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian is a highlight, because that stuff is running rampant today. The colored thing is running rampant. They're making up stuff, throwing colored in there. The black thing is absolutely, a pandemic, and nationality is the cure for that madness going on, and I think that idea of we're not black, and then coming into the Moorish paradigm, coming from the whole identifying as black and African and whatever, and to really digest that nobody brought this man up and his lessons just in coming up, going through the ranks of the conscious community. The fact that we're not Negro, black, colored never came up until we got to Noble Drew Ali and that instruction, that we're not these things. And then you start researching them and realizing that, yeah, well, from a common sense perspective, yeah, we're not. We're really not these things, and in studying this idea of us following these slave brands as identities, you come to the realization that there's definitely something wrong with our people's thinking for them to keep embracing or adopting these fictitious identities as a reality for themselves, and then having that mindset, getting out of it, and then going to some of the most intelligent people when you were black, and you put them on and you realize that they're asleep, and you go through something, you go through a loneliness. It's almost a depression when you realize that it's just you that wants to know the truth about your nationality and birthrights. It's just you that knows about Noble Drew Ali. It's just you that considers him a prophet. Everybody you talk to, they don't know who this man is. They never heard of him. You've been studying 2 months and you think you know everything. Because it resonates with you so strong. The same thing, this lesson that we're not Negro, black, colored. We have a nationality. And you start looking around and you realize that everybody else around you has a nationality. And they had a nationality. You're calling yourself black and all this stuff, and they didn't even tell you anything. They even put you on to game like, hey, it's kind of weird. You're calling yourself black when you're brown. No one. You had to go through all that on your own. But going through all that made us who we are right now. Going through all that made us realize how real and how serious this Moorish nationality that Noble Drew Ali brought really is. And accepting that reality, that even if it's just me, I don't give a F if it's just me. I'm going to be Moorish up every day, all day. Something Moorish is going to be going on. Moorish conversations are going to be happening, even if it's with me and my books only. Because I don't know, just like you said, I don't know where I'll be right now if I didn't have nationality and birthrights. Like I don't even know. I can't even fathom where I would be right now if I didn't have this information about the nationality and the birthrights and everything else that Noble Drew Ali brought that we're able to comprehend. It's definitely a call for Moors who know the truth and who have been studying to pat themselves on the back and give yourself honors for staying true to the cause, the 100-year cause, well, more than 100 years now, but the cause of knowing the truth about your nationality and your birthrights and being yourself, knowing the truth about your nationality and birthrights and not accepting the slave brands that you're Negro, black, colored, or anything else that these people want to lie and tell us in order for them to steal our birthright. It's high season for Moors to give their self honors for acknowledging the greatness of our prophet Noble Drew Ali. And again, for standing on what it is that he brought, knowing all the BS that you're going to have to go through, whether it's from your family, whether it's from your friends, whether it's from people at work, people at whatever, anywhere, anybody. You know that there was a downward side to this, but you also know that there's an upside, and the upside far overshadows the downside of this. The whatever little BS that we had to deal with coming into this thing that we're Moors. People ridiculing us, getting kidnapped for some BS. You're standing on your right, people not hearing what you're saying, stressing you out. All those downside stuff doesn't equate to that individual that ran up to you and acknowledged your fez, called it a fez, didn't call it a hat. The mothers wearing their turban and getting treated like royalty, getting acknowledged for their greatness of knowing who their ancestors were, having the conversations with people and them being dumbfounded as to why is it that the rest of your people don't know this information that that you know about your nationality, and that you're a Moor and that you have a sister. Why do your people want to be slaves? And these conversations that we have that, like in Drew Ali's time, that didn't make social media, didn't get recorded. Nobody was live. It was just you and that whoever. And that was Allah speaking to you through that individual, giving you extreme confidence to know the truth, that you know the truth, and that Noble Drew Ali was right and on point with everything that he brought for the Moors. And the fact that we honor it and the fact that we hold it so dear to ourselves to even be here today on his assassination date to put the call out to all the Moors, and Moors acknowledge and recognize that yes, we're gonna hold him up, we're gonna say his name and let him live again, because the fact of the matter is that he's the only one that brought anything for the salvation of our people, and he really brought it for the salvation of the nations as a whole, which, when you do your research, you find out that a lot of them took what Noble Drew Ali brought and fixed themselves up. And we're having the hardest time with this because we still want to play around with the labels that Drew Ali told us that were not in the 1920s, that are still around today, which lets us know how important he is. If the stuff that he's telling you that you're not are still around today, that means Drew Ali is more important than ever. That means people have gone over and beyond their way to keep us in these dead statuses. To keep us in these dead statuses. Because once we're in this dead status, they could come and they could rape this vast estate of anything and everything, including other human beings. So we have a high call. We have a lot of work to do. But that magnitude of work that we have to do is a breakfast fight. All we have to do is get to the work. And that work is teaching our people the truth about their nationality and birthrights, because that's the thing that hooked us in. That's what reeled us in. This idea of wanting to understand law, wanting to know law. Yeah, we did the religious stuff. We got Bibles and all that stuff. Yeah, we know the metaphysics and all that. But the law aspect, the civics, the jurisprudence, the rights, the inalienable rights, that was a frequency that we absolutely, you know, surrounded ourselves with. You know, Moors were going out and getting their law dictionaries and all that stuff because of Noble Drew Ali. You know, Moors looking up words in law to have the right perspective of it, including the brand names that Noble Drew Ali told us that we're not. You know, and realizing that all these things are actually things that are in law as well. It's not just our emotions that we keep thinking that it is. It's way more than that. And again, the individual who presented this to us, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, is the one who deserves all the honors, all the praise, all the blessings, all the accolades, everything that we have to give. It is to him for leaving this message for us. We were talking about this earlier, that Drew Ali came for the young and unborn who are us today. Like, he came for us. And look at what we did. Look at what we did with the greatness that he left for us, that we're still here today giving him honors and talking about him. And in the right context and from the right perspectives. Because it's only right. It's only right that we give him his due. You know, and you know, unfortunately, it's a thing where, you know, on certain days he'll get more than the other days, you know. But for the Moors who know and give him his honors every day, give him his flowers regularly, you know, this is a time of celebration. You know, we already got the lesson that death is no enemy of man. So we're not concerned that he got assassinated, murdered, killed, died, transitioned, whatever. We have his lessons. And with his lessons, he lives on in all of us. Every single day, he lives on. Every time you have that feather turban on, Noble Drew Ali lives. Every time you say that you're a Moor, and you tell somebody they're a Negro, black, colored, and you tell somebody stop calling children kids, and you correct them, and teach them the origin of language, and teach them geography, and teach them more science, just because you have a pendant on or you have a ring on, you're making Noble Drew Ali live again. And honors to you for standing on what Noble Drew Ali brought. Right? Honors to you for standing on what Noble Drew Ali brought. Because if it wasn't for you being active with this while people were being silent and playing, you know, hide in the temple games with what Noble Drew Ali brought, and only the temple is where you're going to get this info from, because, you know, they're the all and be all when it comes to Noble Drew Ali. Honors to you for seeing this for what it is for yourself and doing something with it. But I yield the floor. Islam. I think you're muted, Ms.
Peace, pardon me more.
Oh, it's all good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. Hear you.
Okay. Indeed. I echo those same sentiments. And that's so fly because I've, for example, you mentioned something about the turban and the fez and wearing the turban and the fez. And it's enlightening to me on this level. Over the past couple months, I've been connecting with a sister from the island of so-called Haiti. And every time I see her, she has on a turban. But she claims to be and is, I believe she's sincere when she say that she is, she has her faith in Jesus, right? But every time I see her, she has her turban on. Every time, like you can't catch her without a turban on. I know that those are just outer garments. Don't get me wrong, but it also is like it's a reminder to me that we have a culture that supersedes our religion, right? Like, because I could relate because of the lessons of Noble Drew Ali. I'm not looking at her like, oh, yeah, you believe in Jesus, I believe in Muhammad or Allah, so we can't be friends, sorry. Like, that's not happening because like the degrees that Noble Drew Ali gave us, like, these are not things that should be dividing us. These are precisely reasons that we should be connected, because we honor all true and divine prophets. So regardless of what she say her religion is, right, as a brother from the mainland, right, I see the culture. I know what that turban means. I haven't even had this conversation with her yet. I just know what that means. And the fact that I cannot see her without it is saying more to me than what she's saying her religion is or the prophet she believes in, whether it be Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad. Like, there's certain signs and symbols where you just know you are in the code, like you know you are in tune, right? So, you know what I mean? Like, as a people, that's what I think is so profound about the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, is the fact that he allowed us to transcend the sectarianism. He allowed us these perspectives to transcend these segregations amongst ourselves. And we know this because we've internalized the teachings. However, like, you know, you got people online and you would swear to God that, you know what I mean, because they don't believe in or know. It ain't even about belief. It may just be a lack of knowledge. Or, you know what I mean, a certain acquiring of knowledge that is keeping us distinguished in mentality. So, the same reasons that people would look at for us to be divided, because of the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, for me, you know what I mean, speaking for me, I see these as the exact reasons we should be together. Now, listen, not in that sense, but I mean, like, you know, there's no reason I can't be friends with somebody who says they believe in Jesus. There's no reason I can't be friends with somebody who says they believe in Muhammad. There's no reason I can't be friends with somebody who says they believe in Buddha.
Yeah.
Like, because we studied these things and we know that the prophet was trying to transcend those barriers that keep us divided.
Yeah.
It's deeper than that. As a people, if you could sit here and tell me you believe in Jesus, but I can't catch you without your turban or your fez on, it's something deeper than that. It's something deeper than that keeps us connected, right? Like, because it's culture, it's national principles, right? So I might not be on the same wave. I might not be trying to go to church every Sunday or whatever, but I understand the basic principle, right? Like, these are prophets that came for the upliftment of our people. And our people, before any of these ideas was founded for us to consider ourselves better persons or better human beings, existed before all of that. And that culture that came with that and all of these things that come from these people still to this day, you know what I mean, have a relevance to, whereas if we don't know our history, we can't see the connection. So knowing the history, having having a deeper appreciation for the history, because it has been said, if you don't know where you come from, you cannot know where you're going. And if we are travelers, if we are sojourners, if we are lords of the plane of everything made manifest, as it says in our lessons, chapter 1, right? We have to have a certain veneration and acknowledgement to our history, so we know where we're coming from, and we know to a degree where we're going. You know, we have to take it one day at a time. However, there are certain things that just in that link, that unbroken link of lineage, in the sense of our culture, you see it today regardless of what people claim.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's back to the point that you were making about these brands, these slave brands, this Negro, this black, this color, you know what I mean, Ethiopian, these Indian, these all being like some of the colonial brands that were put on our people. You know, if we can't refine that, because this is probably the most modern aspect of our history, right? Like, if you're going to do a timeline, even if we was just to say, let's start at 7-11, so-called AD. You know, the most modern part of that from then to now is the Negro black color brands. And this is not something that's not easily researchable. Like, we can research this and find that black was put on the indigenous people of America in the earliest federal documents. This is not something that Noble Drew Ali was just saying just to say, hey, we're not any relation to these people. No, it wasn't the people. It was the brand that was put on the people, mm-hmm. that he was, you know, he had contrary points of view with. And it wasn't even so much that the point of view was contrary. It was based in truth and fact. Like, yo, listen, like you said, how simple does this need to be? We can look at our nieces, nephews, children, you know what I mean, little cousins, whatever. They coming out of kindergarten and they can read off the color spectrum: black, brown, orange, red, blue, green, whatever the color may be. And they know the difference between black and brown. And it's like, as adults, how are we getting caught in this color game? It's to the point where you got the golden children, i.e., quote unquote, so-called, let's just say, Mexicans, amalgamated brothers and sisters in these days and times, from South America, Central America, some of the islands. They may be amalgamated to a golden complexion. And they're considering themselves brown, and while we're considering ourselves black. So they're saying black and brown people, and they're considering the brown people black, and then they're considering the golden complexion brown. Yo, this color game is all the way off the hook, which is why nationality is important. You know what I mean? Because we'll keep getting caught in the color code. And my brother called me an hour before we did this show, and I said, bro, you always on time. You know what I mean? This color code king is also something that's keeping us confused, you know, but it's also part of the Willie Lynch plan. You know what I mean? The light skin more versus the dark skin more. You know, it's just crazy. So nationality is definitely important in the sense of belonging to the human family. Again, like I said earlier, opposed to just this narrative that we don't belong here. We was kidnapped from the coast of Africa and all brought here, and we didn't really belong here. We just were slaves in here. And even when you break these words down, like you was mentioning, looking these words up, a slave is a Slavic. That's what a slave actually means, a Slavic from Central Europe. The Slovakian people are the original slaves. It wasn't Moors or so-called black people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not a title that actually belongs to us.
Mm-hmm.
There was enslavement, and again, I wanted to touch on this because you was talking about the concept of knowing law and studying law and looking these words up in law. A lot of people get it confused, like, oh, if you go to jail, you're a slave now. No, there's a process to that, right? So yes, the 13th Amendment mentions, nobody shall be held slave or anything, neither or involuntary servitude, unless they be duly convicted of a crime. But a lot of people don't understand what a duly convicted person means. Like, they can't just say you guilty. Like, there has to be a process. A duly conviction. There had to be duly convicted. All steps of due process has to be followed. So if there's any violation in the due process of law, you are not duly convicted. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be in a proper venue, proper jurisdiction. Like, there's a process to law, right? To the due process of law. So if someone is not duly convicted, they cannot be considered a slave. If they just violated all your due process of law and your due process rights, even if you was wrong in any sort of sense, if due process was not followed, you are not duly convicted, meaning they cannot hold you as a slave, right? That's the facts of the law. You know what I mean? But people think because, oh yeah, he got caught with an ounce of weed and they found him guilty or her guilty, now she's convicted. You know what I'm saying? That person is a criminal or a slave. It is not like that. That's not what the law is stating. They have to be duly convicted. Did they have probable cause to search in the first place? Mm-hmm. Right? Like, what all of these things there's a due process of law. They can't just say, oh yeah, this person is guilty now, therefore they're a slave for the rest of their life. Like, it does not work like that. That is not what that is. So, no. The Constitution is definitely anti-slavery on a systemic level, though. If people are talking about fighting systemic oppression or systemic racism and all of that, the Constitution is your tool. That is the only thing they have an oath and an obligation and a contract to uphold, right? So if you're trying to fight it systemically, all of them people in the so-called system have that obligation. It's an oath and an obligation. That is the measuring tool. And 10 times out of 10, you'll find that they're not utilizing that oath or that obligation as their, gauge or their compass to quote-unquote convict people. That's not what they're doing. So therein lies the problem as far as civics law is concerned, right? Because it also mentions the aspect of property in the Constitution, in the Fifth Amendment, and private property not being taken, without just compensation or due process of law. So we'll see today, you got people claiming to be members of the Moore Science Temple of America and saying that Moors are crazy because they're studying law and they own their cars, but they're subjected to other regulations. It's like, no. If it's your property, it's your property. According to the law, they cannot take your property without just compensation or due process of law. Now, that we didn't make that up. That is the law of the land. That's what it is. So if you're going to hold people to a standard of what the law is, you have to understand the law itself, not these people who are operating under color of authority, under color of law. they will downplay your right to travel. They will downplay, your right to acquire property, your right to possess land, your right to claim things. And listen, we didn't make this up. This is the law of the land. So, I suggest that, and I recommend that people study the law for themselves. A lot of people, it's good to know the original 10 Bill of Rights, but study the Constitution, even the 7 Articles, the original 10 Bill of Rights. Study all that front to back, because you've seen people who are downplaying the law, and I'm not even going to name this person's name, but y'all already know. They are trying to bait people into arguments on the internet so that they can sue people in court, but they don't even know the due process of that process. They'll be living on the East Coast and sue somebody on the West Coast and not even know the proper venue. You know what I mean? They can't even pronounce judicial system. The judicial system, and convince you that they know law and we don't. Nah, real talk. These type of niggas exist. And I said that intentionally. Yeah, because they are ignorant. However, they convince you that they know law and we don't, and nobody know law but them. You know what I'm saying? But, they're out here playing around, and at the same time, karma is smacking them.
Oh, big time.
The roof on their property is caving in.
Big slap.
You know what I'm saying?
Big slap.
The roof on their property is caving in. They comparing their building to another brother's building, and they got the real Moore Science Temple of America's teachings, and they're in dilapidated buildings. They want to buy the shit that's already theirs. I'm trying to tell you, bro. I'm watching. I've seen it, and it's like, yo, these people are insane. But people love controversy. People love drama. People love narratives that are not true. So somebody telling you that they know about the judicial system and they can't even pronounce judicial system, it's a judicial system. But they know law and nobody else does. Mm-hmm. They listen. They consider themselves. They don't even fall under the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, literally, like as we know. Right, Noble Drew Ali said there's no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment. They consider themselves citizens of the USA and still don't know the laws. But say that Moors who are labeled sovereign citizens don't know the laws when they profess to be these types of citizens and they don't know the laws. They don't know due process of law. So these niggas will fly all the way out to Cali to file a lawsuit because they don't know law. And I'm going to leave that there because when an adversary is making a mistake, you let them. I'm going to let them. Let them.
Yeah.
But listen, they going to these places getting smacked up, you know what I'm saying? And hopping online talking about they know law and we don't and all of this and all of that. Listen, all of them is getting their karma for coming and talking crazy on the net in the first place. That's why their roofs, the roof of their buildings is collapsing while they hitting on another brother who has a venue. You see how that works? So I'm just saying, everybody who claims to be repping the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, that don't mean they repping in the spirit of Noble Drew Ali. You understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, anybody could repeat the text. You understand what I'm saying? But do you understand it? Is it in your heart, in your spirit of what's actually being communicated from Noble Drew Ali? Not from these people interpreting, from what he said. Yeah. Right? So, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is where we at now. And so people are getting smacked up for playing with this, you know what I mean? And then running back to the internet trying to, you know what I mean, defame, wow, their character is in question. Very questionable. You know what I mean? But, I'm just saying, for those who are in the temple who have been dissing our everyday publications, dissing other Moors who know that we're Moors, and that being a Moor is deeper than just being in the Moor Science Temple of America.
Or the Moorish,
the Moor Science Temple,
or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, or the Divine and National Movement. It's bigger than just being part of that. Way bigger.
Yeah.
Not saying those things aren't important. Yes, those things are important. Yes, they're extremely important. But don't get it twisted. That when Noble Ali was speaking, he wasn't speaking to the nation of Moors. He wasn't speaking to members because he said members. Because if it's a jural society that you're a member of, then you're not a member of some organization. If you're a member of a body politic, that's not organization. That's not membership like YMCA or something. That's a different kind of membership.
Yeah. Yeah. So they playing around with this movement like they know law and nobody else doesn't know law. Meanwhile, they got so-called blacks getting European attorneys on them. And the European attorneys is smacking these Moors around who've been playing with this. You know what I'm saying? Like they doing something. You know what I mean? And what you think these Europeans, see, this is I hate to say it like this, but there's no other way to say it. Because whether you claim to be a Moor, whether you claim to be African, pro-black, whatever, the characteristics of token niggas is always identifiable. So if you are putting on a fez, claiming to be a Moor, but you really at heart are a token nigga, part of my language, but this is how they see you. These attorneys are still waiting to smack you up, to put you on their mantle of, oh yeah, this Moor try to sue my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like literally, let's say this Moor who doesn't know themselves is considered black and all of this. European considers him they nigga, quote unquote. And you coming to their venues, playing around with this, not knowing law, they're looking at you as a token nigga. You understand what I'm saying? And so they can't wait to put a token nigga on their mantle to say, yeah, we got this one. Yeah, he thought he was hot shit and all that. We got it. These European attorneys, they know Moors know law. But when they know Moors don't know law, oh my gosh, they waiting to put your head on the mantle next to the lion, next to the elk, next to the deer, next to the bear. You niggas is tokens. And that's how they gonna see you. And we all gonna watch you crash out. Because you are just that. They are doing just that. So pardon me to all my true and living Moors, but we know that there are some token niggas out here who are infiltrating, claiming to be Moors, but really are just token niggas for the internet.
Yeah.
And they playing with this like they know more law than we do when they don't. And they getting smacked up out here. You know what I'm saying? And the accusations is kind of serious. You know, these token niggas is in question for child molestation and all of this.
All types of madness.
You understand what I'm saying?
All types of madness.
Yeah. All types of madness. And the Europeans is saying, hold this backhand. Yeah, my client smacked you, but here go another smack because we don't respect you either. So y'all keep tap dancing on the internet playing these games. It's fine. We're going to watch y'all crash out because that's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Because y'all don't know. Y'all haven't studied. Your perspectives and opinions come from the lack of knowledge. So when they question things about the right to travel and act like we crazy, like, yeah, we know what the Europeans do and how they violate rights. That ain't nothing new. They've been doing that since they got here.
Yep.
That's nothing new. Since when did the European color of authority, you know, and this is no hate towards Europeans, don't get it twisted, but the color of authority, since when did we start considering color of law and color of authority as valid? When y'all start doing that, you're already giving up your birthrights. Your birthrights, not all of ours.
Your own. Yeah, say that again. Say that again, because they think they're giving up. They think they're selling out and messing it up for all Moors, not knowing they're messing it up for themselves only.
Yeah, that's and they're getting everything they deserve. You know what I'm saying? So I'm laughing because it's real. You know what I'm saying? And some of us could go through pain and injury, but still be saved in the midst of it. You know what I mean? Like, but some of these people, the spiritual shit that is going to plague them, even if they don't see it. Like, they really think, 500 likes on a YouTube live stream, they doing the right thing. No, it's you and 500 idiots. Understand that. You know what I'm saying? Understand that an idiot, the etymology and definition of idiot is the lack of not knowing yourself. So I'm just saying, for all of those who are confused, you know what I mean? People are saying, oh, well, we got the real Moorish science over here. And somebody made me a grand sheik and I got the paperwork and all this shit. Listen, sheiks, Arabs are born and not made. Noble Drew Ali said it, but it's not just Noble Drew Ali. If you read any Gnostic wisdom, you know what I'm saying, from 1895 back, they will all tell you the same thing. If you're really that, you can't be made that. Like, you are born that. Like, you were born to add that. You were born to sheik. You know what I mean? Like, there is no process in the world that can make you that. Just like you're born a Moor. It's a birthright. So as far as characteristics, if you claiming to be a grand sheik or whatever, it's really an attribute of you. And if you think that the paperwork made you that, then you never was that and never will be that. That's complimentary. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so we in those days and times where, people really got to check in with themselves. You know what I mean? While they fronting for the internet and all this, they literally getting smacked around and no mercy. You know what I mean? Like, Europeans waiting to put ignoramus on their mantle. and these Moors is going to be that for them. Playing around in their courts like they know what they're doing. They don't, Cujo, they don't even know about proof of service. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, they don't even know about proof of service. They trying to sue somebody, and when it comes down, they like, oh, do you have proof of service? Like, the suit that you filed in this so-called court venue, do you have proof that you served this suit to this person that you claiming is your adversary? They ain't even getting that right, bro. Mm-hmm. But they're gonna tell people, we don't know law, we don't know about due process. Ari Bay is stripping, Taj is stripping, everybody's stripping except Easley. Yeah. And you know what? We gonna watch it all play out. You know what I mean? Because they don't know nothing about venue jurisdiction. They don't know nothing about due process of law. And they out here playing games, getting smacked up, literally. Like, physically. You know what I'm saying? And so, I'm just saying, all props to Noble Drew Ali. All props to Noble Drew Ali. We not playing with his message. Y'all can play on the internet like y'all know something we don't, but we obviously know something y'all don't. And praise Allah, all praise due to the Most High, because we see our ignorance playing out on so many levels. Wow, the ignorant may not see it, but we see it very clearly, you know. And so, may Allah be pleased with us, and you know, whatever their reward is, it's their reward. Well, my fault. I didn't mean to go on a rant.
Oh, you're good, Mark. Like, you're good. It's been a while. It's been a while.
On the note of Noble Drew Ali. On the note of Noble Drew Ali, what bugs me out is that you got people who are acting as if they know, like nobody knows about Noble Drew Ali except them, and anybody who's not in the Moorish Science Temple of America is invalid because they're not in the Moorish Science Temple of America. Listen, let me tell you, bro. When I was in the 5th, 6th grade, it didn't hit me till years later. We took a trip from Jersey to Baltimore, Maryland, and we went to the Black and Wax Museum. And the so-called Black and Wax Museum, they have figures, slaves on the slave ship. Then you had the Freedom Fighters area where there was MLK, El Hajj, Malik, El Shabazz, and Noble Drew Ali, all in the same area, bro. And later in life, I didn't understand why is it that we heard of Malcolm X, we heard of Martin Luther King, but we never, ever in school was taught about anything about Noble Drew Ali.
Never.
But he was in that museum. Never. He was right next to them in the demonstration, bro, or in the godstration. He was right there. But they never taught us nothing about that. So there was a blatant cover-up. There was a blatant attempt to bury, you know what I mean, the history of this brother. But that's what I'm saying, and I said this before. People could go to the Smithsonian museums in D.C. area, whatnot, and, you might walk out damn near with a college education or education that supersedes college.
Yeah.
If it's about the knowledge and the knowledge alone.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking about paperwork and credentials and acceptance, that's another thing. But I'm talking about strictly education. Shit. Go to one of those Smithsonian museums and tell me you won't get your mind blown. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's all in there. It's all in there. But, it is what it is, more. I just want to say that to say this. Listen, we honor Noble Drew Ali. We're not playing with his message. When he talks about the Constitution, we read it. We still studying it. We still learning. We still got new perspectives. And I don't even want to say new perspectives, but newfound understandings, overstandings, understandings, etc. You understand what I'm saying? To whereas we understand, and overstand the potency of why that was something he highlighted. Why he highlighted it. There is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment. It was from a historical context that is still valid to this day. When people say, the laws get updated, this, that, and the third, okay, cool. But the Constitution is the law of the land and is one of the oldest documents as far as, what you consider law that is still valid today. So we don't want to hear that, that law was from the 1700s. Like, they still swear oath to it today. Don't tell us that. Don't act like we're not law abiding because, the Constitution is from the 1700s and they still take an oath to it today, from the president to your judge, to your local judge, your local police department, all of them. They still take an oath to that document. And so that is still valid law today. Whether you want to deem it old or whatever, guess what? People in those days had prophetic visions And that was the prophetic prudence from experience that made that type of law manifest, to whereas everybody had to agree to it. So the de jure law of the land is definitely in its own category opposed to color of law and color of authority. Straight like that. Straight like that. And that's it. So I just want to say, for Noble Drew Ali, encouraging us to be civic minded. You can't be that without knowing the law of the land. And when people don't know the law of the land, they can talk whatever they want to talk, but it shows when they don't know it, but are downplaying the people that do, because they fly coast to coast for a court case and get smacked up in the midst of it. And they ain't never have to do that in the first place because they don't know law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't know the law. And I'm not going to say nothing else about it. We're going to keep watching them make mistakes. But it's showing who knows the law and who don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that. Straight like that. Straight like that.
Now let me ask you this question too, with regard to Noble Drew Ali and him bringing us back to our national pride, as Moors. Do you think that the nation needs certain things to be a nation? Like people say, oh well, if you don't have your own language, you're not a nation, or if you don't have a military, you're not a nation. Like when Drew Ali said we're a nation, what do you get from him saying that?
That it is what it is, and always be what it is. Because see, look, and that's a great question, because you ask, oh, you don't have your own language. This is where our people misunderstand our nation in the first place, bro. I think the fact that we don't understand the history of our nation, we make ignorant statements like that, right? So, oh, if you don't have your own language, you're not a nation. Well, do you know that the Moorish nation manifested damn near all of the languages that you know of today? Like people would say, oh, Moor is a Greek word. Do you know Moors invented the Greek alphabet? Why wouldn't Moor be a Greek word? Oh, Moor is an English word. Well, do you know Moors invented English? Why wouldn't it be an English word? See, the lack of knowledge, you understand? The lack of understanding, overstanding the history of who Moors actually are. Right, and I think it comes from them thinking it started with Noble Drew Ali. This is no disrespect to Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali knew something about us to the point where he manifested a temple, and not a religious temple. It was a science temple, a Moorish science temple, which is beyond your beliefs, which is beyond your opinion. Science is facts. You're dealing with facts of the universe. Like, you're dealing with facts of history. You're dealing with facts of law. So when he says Moorish Science Temple of America, right, or Moorish Holy Temple of Science, it was always about the science. It was never about opinions or beliefs. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, the science of these languages, Moors created that. There's no secret. Like, there's a book called Freemasonry in the Holy Land, written by Robert Morris, who was 33rd, if not beyond that, right? And he talks about how the Moabites manifested all 22 letters of the Greek alphabet. Like, literally identifies them as Moabites who manifested the Greek alphabet. Then we have scholars like J.A. Rogers, one of my favorites. He also goes into this, Cadmus, you know what I mean, being the one who manifested the Greek alphabet. So if you know that Moors manifested all of these languages, what do you mean we don't have our own language? What are you talking about? Like we manifested all of these languages: English, Greek, Arabic. You know what I mean? Slang, Ebonics, all of it. It comes from us. All of it. Right now, we know that there's rules of grammar where we do have to be correct. You know what I mean? But the language comes from us. So, yeah, when people say stuff like that, it just shows, again, their lack of knowledge of the history of that nation. Right? So when they say, oh, Moors don't have their own language, they really don't understand, and overstand the history of Moors. They're thinking, they have to be thinking from a perspective of 1913 to now. Like, because if they was thinking 1913 and before, like going back, even 7-11 and even BC, they would understand that Moors definitely manifested all of those languages. So, you know what I mean? Like,
yep. And
I think that's the issue.
Yep, and relative to that too, just to reiterate what you were saying, the idea of all the different languages coming from dark-skinned people. You know, all the different languages coming from dark-skinned. There is no language on the planet that a pale person made up. That they're not the founder of languages. You know. And also remember too that a nation is the nationals that are part of it. So as soon as you see a national, the nation exists. No matter if they have an army, if they have a pen knife, it doesn't even matter. Whether they have their flag, don't have their flag, doesn't even matter. They are their nation. Any national. And if we go down the line of all the nationalities, you could have a 1 minute conversation with them and know what their national bloodline is. 1 minute. Our people, they're going to take you into 5 hours, 5-hour lecture about who they are. Oh yeah, we're from Kemet. Kemet means black and all this madness. When that's 2 different languages. How's 2 different languages relate? It doesn't even make sense.
Mm-hmm.
There is no English word that existed during the time of hieroglyphics. So there can't be a translation. It's just like we were talking about all these Indians talking about, oh yeah, they found Sphinx here and they found pyramids here, and over here is Egypt, but they're calling themselves Indian. Why don't they call themselves Egyptian? If over here is Egypt, why you Egyptian? Why you Indian but you built pyramids? I thought the Egyptians did that. It's backwards with our people. And it's almost like they love it. They love it that way. They've been so indoctrinated that they've accepted the lies as truth. And they're taking these lies to their grave, not knowing the truth. And the truth's sitting there, waiting for them to get it. But niggers don't read. Niggers want to hear somebody tell them something, or they're gonna assume. The last thing they're gonna do is go research. Last thing they're gonna do is go research. Because if anybody did any research, you realize that anytime you go into any of those venues as a Moor, that's an inquisition. And the duty of the Inquisition is murder you. So you shouldn't even be going in there with some holier than thou perspective. That, oh yeah, because you got the truth, that means that what? Colonists and colorable people are gonna act right. They took out their own republics to bring democracy. What do you think they're gonna care about you?
Yeah, and on another note, more, how about we recognize the whole system just collapsed?
Yep.
And it's like we're not getting that part. Like you don't think like with COVID-19, as they call it, coronavirus, pandemic, etc. What just happened? And I understand, I overstand. It may take years for our people to really feel the reverberations of what just happened. We're talking 2-3 years ago. Like I get it. It hasn't sunk in yet with a lot of people. But bro, the whole thing just collapsed. Real talk. It's over. Like, it's over. Like, bro, they are now summoning people to come to court on a Zoom meeting.
Yep.
Bro, did you hear what I just said, bro? It's a fact. It ain't even that I said it. Like, it's real talk. They are now saying, oh, you are hereby now summoned to appear via Zoom meeting. And if you don't have internet, you could call in this way, that way, or whatever. And put in this key. Bro, it's a wrap. And we so confused. We don't even see that it's over. We won already. We already won. It's done.
A more called me a couple of days ago that he had court. They told him go to the court building. When he went to the court building, and it's time for him to go in front of the judge, he asks them, oh no, he didn't go up yet. His time was coming up. He called me to ask if he should sit in front of the screen because there's no judge there. It's just a screen with the judge on it.
Come on. Come on.
And they're talking about the Moors.
And
they're talking about the Moors are a fraud. But they're not even considering these people who have the judge on a screen in a courtroom and saying that that's court.
Yeah. It's over, bro. It's over. And those of us who already had the eyes to see know that already. However, some people are going to be lost in the sauce, trying to follow that. And don't get me wrong, there's more, like before the pandemic, man, we would have loved to get a summons on the video court just to show up and show out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, on the real, like, oh, excuse me, I don't see a jury of my peers. Where is the, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see any of that. Where's the witness? Where's the jury of my peers? I don't see any of that on camera. Excuse me, this is not due process of law. Or even to save the gas money or whatever it is, time, energy. But if we talking strictly due process of law, showing up on the video court is not anywhere ascribed in the Constitution. They used to do that to people who was locked up. Like, even if you went before inferior court, right? Like, you was on, let's say you made a special appearance at an inferior court. Like, the part that's the most cringe and time wasting is the fact that all the people that was locked up, they would have them on video court first. Like, so you might have to sit through 20 people in video court, right? All their business on blast, all of this, before they even deal with the people in the courtroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you like, damn, man, shit. You know what I mean? Like, how many people we gotta watch on TV deal with this before you could even say, hey, I'm such and such Bay L Ali Day, you know what I mean? And on special appearance, like you had to sit there and watch that first. Now you can be on the outside world, and this is what they're trying to get you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, due process of law, due process of law. So you're either going to stand on the law or not. You know what I'm saying? Like you could say, look, this Zoom meeting or whatever it is not due process of law, and I have no obligation to this because this is not due process of law per the law of the land. Like straight like that. Like there's no provisions for that. Show me the constitutional amendment that says I have to appear on a digital meeting. Where's that at? Like, because the Constitution is the law of the land. But, you know, it is what it is. I mean,
it is what it is.
I don't know, man.
Color in action. It is what it is. Color in action. Because people want to play colored, so these people are going to do their colorable law, colorable authority, colorable jurisdiction, colorable anything that they want. Just because the kings of color allow it to happen. I play in black games.
Yeah.
Want to pretend like the Moors don't know what we're talking about because they saw a Moor get arrested, or they saw, you know, the judge kidnap a Moor or something like that. Which what's that supposed to mean? But we're gonna stop being Moors because a Moor got kidnapped. You're Chinese, stop being Chinese because a Chinese got executed because they were a traitor.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. The whole thing. And then they'll act like, oh yeah, Moors are just the people want to be part of something because they feel like they're being persecuted. Like, bro, do you know the history of the Moors? Yeah, there's been a lot of persecution, not prosecution, but there definitely has been persecution, and we're not gonna act like that hasn't been true from 7/11 to this day. And if you want to talk about specifically the Moors reign in Europe, or specifically what they call Spain, 7/11 to 1492, Moors had the globe on smash. And what I mean by that is everything, the waterways, all of that. How is it that you think they allegedly defeated the Moors in 1492, but 1493, they all of a sudden got the freedom to come over to America? What you think that was about? You don't think in the timeline there's any connection there between the Moors over there and here? But yo, Cujo, they don't have eyes to see. They got eyes but cannot see. Thank Allah, we have eyes to see, bro.
Straight up.
Like we already know what this is about.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We know what it is. And so, you know, it's a global thing that has been. I can't promise a specific end date of the hostility on their behalf towards us, you know. But I know that no matter what, like this thing is done already. Like their system has collapsed. It's only running off of blind faith at this point. You know what I mean? Like it's only running off of blind faith at this point. You know, people who still believe in them. People who don't realize, and again, I understand, like the way the world just changed in a very short period of time under the name of the COVID-19 and the COVID pandemic. For some of us who have been alive 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, it may not have sunken in all the way. Maybe those in the 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, like it may not have really set in yet. That everything just changed. And what we have to stay steadfast in is the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And on that note, the Constitution is the law of the land. If we talk in justice, there is a due process of law that is consistent with justice if you do know the law of the land. But if you don't, you just be thinking anything they do and say is valid. So somebody who's leasing their so-called car or automobile, and whatever happens, they get hemmed up on the side of the road, pulled out their car, beat down, whatever. And they're like, well, I got the right to travel, this, that, and the third. It's not that that's not true, but is that your property that you're utilizing? If it's on the lease from the dealership, you can't speak as if you're an owner of that particular property. You don't own it. If you own that property, now you're talking about constitutional rights being enforced and in play because it's your property. But you can't be leasing something and it's not your property and you're talking like you're the owner of, like you are not. You may have power of attorney because even when they go to get these leases on these so-called cars, they don't own it. They just got power of attorney over the property.
Right.
That's really what it is. But they don't own it. They're not. There's no ownership, so it's not their property. We're talking to those who own their property. That is your property, and you cannot be deprived of it according to the law of the land without just compensation and due process of law. If you think I'm capping, just read the Fifth Amendment. And when you read the Fifth Amendment of the American Constitution, really be real with yourself. If you're a leaser, you're not an owner. If you own it, it's your property. And put yourself in the proper category before you try to make these arguments or before you try to take these stances. Straight like that.
Or before you try to say that this Morris stuff doesn't work or something because you're looking at a Moor trying to exercise some right to travel with some lease car and get caught up and try to put that on all Moors. Good try.
Right. Exactly. Because at the end of the day, they can say, we didn't deprive you of your property because you don't own it.
Exactly.
Case closed. But when it's your property, you have an argument. You definitely have an argument. Nothing else. You got an argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, you definitely got an argument. And that's just what it is. So, we got to make sure our affairs are in order as individuals so that we are a better nation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we are better people. Mm-hmm. Like, we got to make sure as individuals we doing our best. We on point. So that when we come to contribute to our nation, whether that be through philosophy, ideas, financial, whatever, resources, whatever, we are actually in our own proper person on whatever level you may consume that. Esteem that on. You know what I mean? But if you're if you're borrowing and leasing, because remember, Noble Drew Ali said, a beggar nation cannot obtain the highest spirituality within them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you're begging for these things to be acknowledged, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not freedom to me, in my perspective. I could be wrong, but to me, according to the lessons of Noble Drew Ali, or to the teachings, that's not freedom. You know what I mean? Because a beggar nation cannot be there on a spiritual level. Like, it's not the highest level of spirituality. When you are owning, when you are, you know what I mean, affirming, when you are possessing and sure about what's yours versus begging to acquire something, you know, those are two different mentalities.
Right.
And so, you know, it is what it is. I just feel like, you know, when we know what's ours, what we own, what we don't, whatever it is, these are things that make the difference in the arguments. You know, some people are fine and they feel comfortable, like, with the color of law, the color of authority being their compass of how they move. You know, but don't put that on all Moors, because not all Moors feel that way.
Right.
So, as an individual, you know, your perspective could be your perspective, but just because that's the word I was looking for. Because you've acquiesced to the color of law, to the color of authority, and that's your perspective. Don't think that all Moors are on that perspective. And it's not wrong. If that's what you want to do. If you want to do that as an individual, fine. But don't say that all Moors are supposed to have the same perspective as you.
Right.
Or any human beings. You know what I mean? Any human beings. It's not just a Moorish thing. But they look at Moors and try to highlight us on the internet as if that's what's happening. Or Moors are far-fetched because, you know, they're not acquiescing to the color of law. They're not acquiescing to the color of authority. They're not acquiescing to, you know, these tyrants. You know what I'm saying? And then, contrary to that, you know, you do have Moors who are acquiescing, so we can't be put in the same box. Noble Drew Ali had adversaries who were operating under the same establishment name as he was in his days and times. So, you know, we're not exempt from that. You know what I mean? Like, if it's about him, even on that level, you know, he had adversaries who were like, yeah, we the Moor Science Temple of America, and they were his adversaries. So why wouldn't these same people be around today? The roof caving in. You know what I'm saying? Because of their karma.
You know,
It is what it is, bro.
Islam. They're gonna learn. They're gonna learn. Most want to learn the hard way though. So, you know, time will prove itself to these people. You know, time will prove itself.
Just like that, bro. Just like that. Hold up, let me see. Yeah. So one way or another, you know, the truth is going to prevail. You know, I just give thanks to all you Moors on the line now. Cujo, big acknowledgement to you.
Honors to you.
Because you know about Noble Drew Ali and what his intentions were, and the fact that it was beyond just a religious point of view. It was a nation. Like I said, man, you know, just looking at daily life, you know, you got people who claim that they actually like, and they do, like they on their Jesus tip, but you can't catch them without their turban on. You can't catch them without these indigenous Moorish garments on.
Yeah.
But it's something about Yeshua. So whereas they like, all right, it's something about this message. But again, it's relatively the same. And we were taught through the lessons of Noble Drali, or excuse me, not lessons, through the teachings of Noble Drali, that we're supposed to be open and correlating with all of that. You know what I mean? And so these very divisive games that people are playing, because they want to be the man, they want to be the man on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all these social media things. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, hey, every other brother and sister who's actually doing something, there's always a critique. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, their whole shit is collapsing and caving in, and it's like, yo, you can't be about Noble Drali, but you're not on the love frequency. You're not the savior of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Like talk your teachings, whatever, but understand, overstand that some people been Django unchained for years now. Unchained, not on the chain. So they're teaching from a perspective like we're supposed to be on this chain. Meanwhile, the whole fence, the whole system collapsed. There's nothing to stay attached to. Unless you want to. You want to be Steven? Fine. It's on you. Don't act like we all supposed to be on that, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, it is what it is.
Yeah.
There is some so-called sisters, brothers, whatnot, who claim to be Jehovah's Witnesses at this point, who are more aware to the reality of today than some of these brothers representing the Moorish Science Temple of America on YouTube present day. Mm-hmm. Like, they know we in the end time. There's nothing to hold on to with the colored system. Like, they know that. And are moving accordingly. And it's like, yo, these Moors are misrepresenting on so many levels. And I don't mean all Moors. I love Moors. I am a Moor. But I also understand, overstand that there are people who are claiming to be Moors who are adverse to what the teachings of Noble Drali actually are.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But while they're adverse to it, they're claiming that they are about it, and they're really, really not, because they're surface. They're not substance.
Mm-hmm.
They're surface, not substance with it, and I think that's the issue where the confusion comes in.
And they're not even claiming. They're not just claiming to be about it, but they're claiming to be the official of it.
Yeah.
They're claiming to be the number one, and they're the ones who have the authority, and they're the ones who this and that. Noble Drali sanctioned them. Noble Drali said, yes, it's us. We're the ones. And then you go research some of them people, and they're trademarking handshakes, and they're copyrighting love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and they're copyrighting Moorish Science Temple of America. Criminals.
Yeah.
Criminals.
Mm-hmm.
They have nothing to do with the Moorish movement as a whole. They might have something to do with the Moorish movement for their self, for their little individual self, but they don't have anything to do with the nation. These people are abandoners of the nation in order to get some corporate benefits. They're gonna paint the floor of the temple with the Moroccan flag, have people walking up and down on the flag. This is the madness that these people are doing. under the guise of their Moors. They're gonna tell you everything and their grandma about Moors aren't sovereign. And there's no Moor sovereignty. And Moors are not a nation. Come to the temple and all this. Doing everything, going over and beyond the call of duty to cause confusion, trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation, which is Noble Jew Ali. Because all of them, and still today, they're jealous of his fame and nobility. He's dead, and they're still jealous of his fame and nobility, which is crazy.
Yeah.
They're still jealous, big jealous of his fame and nobility. Exactly. These people wouldn't know nothing about Moors, Moorish nationality, birthrights, Moroccan flag. They wouldn't know anything about Islam. They wouldn't know anything about Moorish science. They wouldn't know anything about 101 question, constitution, any of that if it wasn't for Noble Jew Ali. Nothing they would know if it wasn't for Drew Ali. But he got him good because he did tell him that he's gonna get him from the soul plane. He did say he's gonna get him from the soul plane. And they're paying for it. You just stay on course. Don't worry about the detractors. Don't worry about the haters. Don't worry about the misrepresenters. Don't worry about them. You just stay on course. There's a reason why you gravitated to your nationality and birthrights, because this is something that's part of you. You don't have any options. It's either proclaim you're a Moor or be dumb nigger. Those are your options. That's all you could do. Pick one. Pick a side. Because the Moors who pick their side already, guarantee you, they have ample amounts of examples of how nationality and birthright saved their life. As easy as dealing with some other individual. You know, just because you're a Moor, you uncock the hammer, and let them have another chance to be a good individual on this earth plane.
That's it. And just do your best to assist them and stay out the way.
Uplifting.
You know what I mean? Like that's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like even when you balling, you want to assist and see your peers score, man. Shit. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is, man. Like I can't explain it enough, but for sure, man. Anybody listening in and want to call in, there's about 2 minutes left. The calling number is rolling at the bottom of the screen for you to call in, push one, add one, ask your question, and we'll take it from there. 563-999-3403. Again, the number is 563-999-3403. If not, me and the Sheik will keep it going and take us on out tonight.
Islam.
But
honors to the Prophet. Honors to the Prophet.
Straight like that.
Straight like that. We're not talking about Thomas or Timothy or the Egyptian adept and all that stuff. We're talking about Prophet Noble Jew Ali. That's who we know. That's who we give our honor to.
Straight like that.
Right. That's who we acknowledge and give reverence. Because if it wasn't for Noble Drew Ali, we wouldn't be where we're at right now with knowing the truth about our nationality and our birthrights, knowing that we're Moors and not Negro black colored. We wouldn't know Jack without him. You know. So honors.
That's a major fact. Bingo. And I know that so-called being black is so confusing because, yo, bro, do you know some people are based that if you're black or not based off of if you do or don't eat fried chicken, bro. Like, I'll never forget somebody said, oh, you don't eat fried chicken, you ain't black. Remember Joe Biden was like, you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yeah.
Like, and it's another thing. Like, oh no, yo, like there's so much to analyze. I hear these people, they be talking, oh, yeah, well, in the black community, you know what I mean, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, is black a nation or a community? You know what I mean? Like, because I know many communities, but what black, quote unquote, black community? Like, is it a community? Okay, if it's a community, then it's a community. But if it's a nation, it supersedes or expands beyond any one community. So what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Real talk. They just, oh, black community this. In the black community, there's the, economic struggle. In the black community, there's regentrification. Okay, well, is it a community or is it a nation? Is it a nationality? Is it a brand? Like, pardon me, I know some of these questions are rhetorical because I know it's not a nationality. But, you know what I mean? There are many different neighborhoods and or communities. And they're not, like our people are in so many different communities.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That you might be surprised if you're equating so-called black with, you know what I mean, lower income housing and lower income communities and city communities, then you don't see it as a nation of people by your own admission. Your own thought wave is showing you don't see it like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a nationality. I don't care what you say. It's always referred to as a community, as something else, but definitely not a nationality. And these people say it on their own merit. You know what I mean? Like, because there are brown-skinned people in every community, even in your most richest, affluent communities. There are Moors there. So what, quote-unquote, black community? Are they equating that with struggle and projects and ghetto and fried chicken and watermelon? Like, what, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. It's just crazy. Shout out Amir Sharif L says they all have stupidity in common. That the black community in a nutshell. That's the black community in a nutshell. There you go. And it's not that we don't love our people. We just know that black is not a nationality. It is a brand.
That's simple.
Put on. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, let's not get it, because that's what they say. Oh, they don't even think they're the same as us. No, we know we're the same people. We just know that our proper identification is not black. And for those hating on the Moorish nationality card, etc., yo, listen, there are many Moors who have used it on a civic level, you know what I mean, and have gotten all types of contracts fulfilled, rentals, electricity turned on, gas turned on, all of these different things. And so I'm just saying, like, for those who don't understand that the ID card is a civic tool, your lack of understanding is your biggest enemy, not us. Not us. Your lack of knowledge is. And that's just what it is. So, yeah, more, I just want to think of Noble Drew Ali. Right, we do have one caller with their hand raised at the moment.
Islam.
We are in the next hour. I know time flies, man. Time flies.
Especially on the good days.
Say that again?
Especially on the good days. Time flies. Yeah, time flies on the good days.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So caller 323-579. Peace, man. We see you with your hand up. You with us? Yeah. What's up, y'all? Islam, y'all.
Islam, more.
Peace, man. Peace, more. I'm Devontae Gardner. I'm in Los Angeles, California. I've been watching Cool Joe and all y'all show, Canaanland Moors, Todd Tariq Bay, honors to all of y'all, man. I've been watching y'all for a long time. I feel the sincerity, so I really appreciate what y'all do for us.
Islam. Always.
Peace. Islam. Yes, sir. I was just calling, I had put my nationality papers in, I had turned them in, but I haven't got no response back. So I was just checking in to see what I could do to possibly get a response or send it all again. It's all good if I have to. That's peace, more. When did you send them in? I sent them in about August of 2021. So it was a little after COVID or during COVID. Yeah. Apologies to say for that to be processed. You may have to send them in again. No instructions. Yeah, the instructions are on the RV Bay publication website. So that you can send them in and get them sent right back ASAP. Yes, sir. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do that. Yeah. We apologize for any miscommunications or lack of it being sent back to you prior to 2023. But if you send in these to the instructions on RV Bay publication website, it will be sent back to you ASAP. Right on, man. Much love. I'm going to definitely do it again. I know it's not expensive at all, so, it's going to bring me way more than what I'm spending. So,
now, I appreciate
y'all. I'm going to definitely do it again.
I wanted to ask you this question, though. Why, even though you waited, are you still on this information? Why don't you think that this is a scam, or why don't you think, forget being a Moor because I didn't get my papers since 2021?
Oh yeah, man, I just feel it in my heart, man. I've been watching you, Cool Joe, and everybody for a long time, man. I just know in my heart this is who we is. This is who we are. I got a lot of friends out here in the LA, Orange County area. I started dropping the knowledge, and they navigated to it, and they put it in their raps. So I just know it's coming from a sincere place, man. I really believe in our prophet and what he brought us to where, I know this is our cure. This is the last thing we need is nationality besides, all of these agents running around, running their mouth, calling us black. I mean, everybody got a story to tell about that, but there's more science. It's the only thing that's telling us about nationality and got a prophet that came that looked like us. So once I heard it, man, it just stuck to me, and I think it's just something natural that Moors who get the call, you feel it. So I never felt like y'all was a scam because everything y'all say and do, I could tell it's just coming from your heart to really uplift our people. It ain't about the money. It ain't about the fame and the clout. Y'all giving real information that's going to save lives and uplift our nation, save generations.
Islam. And since we're on the Drew Ali wave for today, just your perspective on what Noble Drew Ali brought you, or how has what Noble Drew Ali brought assisted you?
Man, he brought us back to life. He uplifted us from death, you know what I'm saying, from a dead state to where I remember growing up where I grew up in Los Angeles, so it was always just, man, to be a man, you thought you had to be a gangbanger or, you know, you had to do something like that, violent out in the street. And when I found this information, it really took my mind off having to prove something to the streets and recognizing, you know, we got something, we got culture, we got something really to represent besides neighborhood or European block that they made up. We got, you know, this whole land is ours to be represented. Mm-hmm. So, man, it just changed my whole focus on life, and I could see where I got even smarter academic-wise, learning etymology and different stuff like that, you know, from Todd Tariq Bey to Mosey Abdul Mosey Bey, you know, so yeah, man, I appreciate it. It just really woke me up.
That's what's up.
Thank y'all. Likewise, bro. We appreciate that, man.
Islam.
Man, thank y'all. I'm gonna try to do more to do my part and, you know, study more so I could probably drop videos and stuff like y'all do to keep uplifting the people out this way and all throughout the America, whoever we could reach. I know y'all supposed to be blown up in everybody's face that think they black. Everybody should pay attention to y'all and give y'all time and sit down for a month or so and just go through the old Canaanland more videos on YouTube, and man, it's enlightening. It'll change everybody's life, so y'all really appreciate it.
Islam, thank you, Mar.
Islam.
Honors to you. Appreciate you and all you Mars out there.
That's all. Thank you, man. Thank y'all, for real. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to do. I know I want to get this the proclamation papers in so I can really be an example to my people out here who I've been dropping it to for the longest. You know, I had my nationality card. My wallet fell. I ended up losing it, but I was already, you know, pushing the message and moving like a Moor should with just my nationality card and the student ID and the traveling card and everything. So I just want the paperwork just so I can have it confirmed and everybody can see that, yo, it's a real process we doing and we really standing on this square.
Facts. And I want to say this too, for all the studious Moors out there who've been, you know, cross-referencing and acknowledging the references we've been given over the years, that in the John Bouvier's Concise Encyclopedia of Law, if you look up the definition of rights, it also mentions the fact that the people have the right to communion in speech, writing, printing, letters, etc. So these proclamations fall in that same type of jurisdiction of rights. So it is not any type of scam. Again, apologies for the previous aspect of you not getting it right back. But in these days and times, if you send in the proclamation to the proper location, you will get it back. ASAP.
Right on. Yeah, I trust you. No doubt. I know there's no tapping on y'all end. It was just mixed up, COVID. You know, a lot of stuff could have went on, so it's all good, you know, but nothing wasn't going to stop that process with me calling in. I talked to Kuja online. He told me just call in to the show. So I've been checking the website, waiting for the show. And I finally called, you know what I'm saying? It really got through and got to talk to some real brothers. So I just appreciate y'all presence and just dropping this knowledge for everybody free every day just about. So yeah, that's one thing the people gotta know. And I've been waiting this long, and I'm still full-fledged down, you know. So it ain't no type of scam going on. We really waking people up to nationality, and I feel like they're gonna really be good for our people. Blackness.
that being said, we appreciate the brethren. Anybody listening from now on, again, you can get the directions for these days and times of where to send your proclamations on RVBaypublications.com. Moving forward, man, it's been a beautiful run. Again, this is our second to last one on Blog Talk Radio. So moving forward, it will be on YouTube, Canaanland Moore's YouTube page. But we definitely here. And you know what I mean? Like I guess everything has a cycle, and moving forward, we moving forward.
Yep.
It just is what it is.
Exactly.
100, man. Got it. Yeah, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for listening. And I stay in contact. I'm going to keep on watching, keep on studying.
Peace, more.
Peace, y'all. So, y'all have a good day. Good night. Peace.
Likewise, you too.
Islam.
Peace, more. So
Peace,
yeah,
more.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, all acknowledgments due, all honors to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Is there anything you want to say in closing before we spin out? I know we'll be back next month, third Thursday,
Yep.
on Blog Talk Radio, and then after that would be straight YouTube.
Yep.
So.
Some more just
closing,
just acknowledging the mothers for having the platform for so many years. We're coming down to the last two.
Mm-hmm.
So, just honors to RV Bay Publications, MHHS, Eyes Wide Open. Honors to you and all the Moors that have been supporting since day one. When we first kicked off Sons of Allah, there's a lot of new Moors in here. There's a lot of Moors who've been here. So honors to you. Give yourself, your flowers for still being directly connected with some of the foundational Moors that's been doing this online, putting out this info stuff. There's a lot out there now, but in the early years there was very few. There was very few putting out that work. So honors to all the Moors out there who are active in whatever way they see they need to be active in order to save themselves. And honors to the Prophet, the illustrious Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for his sacrifice in order for us to be here right now, being able to talk him up and give him his honors that he didn't get when he was in the flesh. So honors to all the Moors worldwide, and honors to all the Moors in the chat. Peace and love.
I echo that same sentiment. And man, I'm just thankful we've had this great run on this platform. Again, like you said, thanks to my mom, Anna E, for making it happen, initiating the venue. 9-10 years later, it's still a beautiful thing to have the ability to have these memories. I'm downloading every episode. Anybody out there who has been down and listening from day one, you may have already downloaded them. If not, you may want to go back and do that. But if you don't worry, we will still have those archived upon request. You'll be able to get them straight like that. Because you're not going to let this body of work go into oblivion. And I'm so thankful to say that, we've been holding it down as well on these third Thursdays. And majority of them have been on significant days and timings, to whereas it's just like, man, this is Allah's work in that sense. So it was divinely prepared for these days that we've you know what I mean, God straighted. People would say demonstrated, whatnot. But bro, I can't thank you enough. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, again, we'll be back here on Blog Talk next month, and we'll update you then on what time and when. Of course, it's going to be at 7:30 moving forward, opposed to 9 o'clock p.m.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to keep it going. And I just appreciate all the memories, you know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, we're going to spin out on this note. Thank you for everything. The music, the vibes, everything. All the listeners, we appreciate y'all. And we'll be back for one more on this platform of Blog Talk next month, and then we'll be going straight YouTube during the fall and moving forward. So, I appreciate it. I appreciate the records, the archives, the moments, the callers, the listeners, the sharers, everybody. You know what I mean? It all means something. And so I just want to say peace and love to y'all. And I trust that our work has been not in vain. We're going to preserve it. I trust we reach people to a point where majority of the message, people have already received and took what they could take from it, move on with it. But we still far from done. So, you know what I mean? Peace and love to you all. And I'm going to say good night on that on that note.
And one more.
Big acknowledgement to Mr. Ali.
And one more thing.
Understanding that today was his so-called death anniversary, but like I said in the beginning, we already know based off of his teachings, there is no such thing really as death. Energy never dies. So like Cujo said, he lived on through us all. And with that being said, I trust Allah be pleased with all of us.
Was a lot more. And one more thing. Happy Holy Day to all the Moors, since it's Thursday. Have a great Holy Day tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Honors to all the Moors.
Absolutely.
Happy Holy Day.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, bringing in the Holy Day with you all, for sure. We on the eve of the Holy Day. So for sure, happy Holy Day. Definitely got to acknowledge that, because that's a serious vibe too. So salute. Acknowledgement to the 6th day, and we on it like that. I trust everybody have a great holy day and a good night. You know what I mean? Peace, man.
Peace.
thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. We're not playing with us so simple and easy. From 19 how long we see it's easy. So sick, it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Jew was attacked. They took a covenant that they will protect them and have his back. They hand on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fights. And I'm doing their job 3,500 for birthright. Movie force that's supposed to be in Gucci stores and gotta thank Allah for the sushi more than Buddhist Naga. Moorish Mike Renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer. Empty battle star wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death preparer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin going crazy, waving the gap. Cause they call yourself black, that's a kicking sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MC's short, so all that. I'm pulling down a research like skull caps. The torture, the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get flat, though. Admiral when I flow, laser like Macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Blackwell. But beat the case like Blackville, but no lawyer. Action carry, liar, do nothing for you while they get rich and poor you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke, the snort from hood corners and block ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repetto, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not made but L like bread and hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands, with good right brands. I don't worry about getting scanned. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. The politics started thinking like the colonists. They know what you are, people started dropping it. What up?
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.